Good morning, my patrons. I hope that you are all doing well here. It's very cold in London today, and I hope that you are keeping warm. It's wonderful to have this platform, this opportunity to be able to connect with you and to discuss things in a little bit more detail than I would normally be able to. So, what I wanted to look at today was a piece of music called the Cartographer. And I wanted to explore with you one of the compositional techniques I use to sort of get going, if you like, sometimes. So we're going to just pop over to a keynote thing here, and so hopefully you can see this. Feel free to pause this at any point, obviously, if you want to have a look through. But we're going to look at composing using words. So here we go, and let's see if I can make this work. It should be a great feat. So here we go. So this is the Cartographer. It was a commissioned piece of music commissioned by Roadburn Festival. Some of you I know were there at the performance. And in the commission, Roadburn wanted to explore where heavy music meets classical music. Which is a very broad brief indeed, and one that's completely right up my street, as you know. So my response to the commission was very detailed, obviously written response, where I discuss what makes music heavy, in my opinion, and the juxtaposition of sounds and textures, timbres, things. Then I wrote a piece basically for 8 trombones, piano, cello, violin, 2 vocals, 2 percussionists. Felt like the kitchen sink as well, but anyway, there we go. So this was the Cartographer. So how did it begin? Well, one of the compositional techniques I use is to use a grid system whereby letters of the alphabet generate a musical phrase. But of course, you need the words to start with. So, as you might recall, I'm quite interested in magic in music and the principles of setting an intention without using words to convey this. So I wrote a poem, if you like, which was recited for us by Alice Krieg on the album. Lucy Daly recited it in the performance. The night cleaves, revealing shape beyond the road's unboundaried form. While restless winds of craft and lore coil in transient song, the Corax dives the triple seas and hunts the silence of unbroken thought. Inside the gyre, time waits with slow stone flame. Draw close to me. So this is an incantation of sorts. So we have this. What happens next? Well, we go to the principle of a magic sigil, which in art, you set your intention, you write it down, you write your phrase down, then you remove your vowels and your conjunctions, and then you work with the consonants which are left, the letters which are left, and you basically create a pattern or work with these letters, and it condenses down, and that is then the symbol of your intention, if you like. So we have our poem here, 5 phrases, paired down through the system to create a theme from which we can build the work. So don't forget, we haven't put it into a grid yet, we've just paired it right down. This is what it looks like, which arguably looks like something that I often almost send out as an email by accident. So it doesn't make much sense, but this is the Cartographer, the night cleaves, minus the vowels and conjunctions. So these are the letters of the alphabet which we're going to work with. Here we go. So when we develop a grid system, basically it allows us to, as I said to you, allocate the letters of the alphabet into a grid and then assign various either musical notes or it could be timings or it could be keys or whatever you liked, and then you can sort of generate something out of this. So you can go very, very randomly indeed. I decided to move in whole tones. I removed from my grid, as you'll see in a minute, the letters A and Z, because A doesn't feature because it's a vowel. Z doesn't feature in the poem either. It looked neater as well. I've just given you my artistic decision. It's very important to remember, I think, when you're composing or indeed in any form of art, that when you set up your structure and your framework, it's then possible to deviate from that. But if you have no framework, it's very difficult to deviate from anything at all. So it can be a little bit like a sea of possibilities, which is also very exciting, but sometimes not that helpful. So here we go. Here's our letters of the alphabet in black: B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, blah, 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 blah. In red, there's a couple of anomalies here. In red are the letters of the musical pitches. So as you can see with the alphabet, when we miss out a letter, it's in grey here. So we've obviously none of our vowels. We also don't have either of my initials, which is there. Moving in a whole tone scale, that means two half steps, if you like. So theoretically, this should have been an F sharp, but I have decided it's an F natural, and that was for an artistic reason. Again, talking about deviation, once you have a phrase or something, you can then begin to sculpt and mold. It's like when you work like this, it's like going to the rock face, and the rock is hewn from the face, from the cliff. That's your thing that you then begin to sculpt with. If you think of these big, like Barbara Hepworth sculptures or something, it began life as a large piece of granite. So that's what we're generating here, a bit of granite. So we can make some amendments as we're going along, but this was the starting place. So every time we missed a letter, I inserted the interval of a minor third. When we got to the end of the row, I went down by a half step or a semitone and then shot backwards the next way. Same again, same again. Why I changed to D sharp instead. It should have been a D natural, but again, as artistic, I'll explain that to you in a minute. So here we go. Great amount of work, blood, sweat and tears. Really, I was very passionately invested in this idea, and then generated this particular thing here, which it spat out, and it was awful, absolutely awful. Like, you cannot imagine. Oh my gosh. I nearly sacked myself. Anyway, just for fun, I'm going to play you a little tiny bit of the comedy MIDI violin, and I have chosen to use a MIDI patch rather than a BCSO because it sounds really bad. I want you to know what it was that I heard the first time. I'll put my headphones on so you can hear. I don't think we need to listen to all of that, really, to be honest with you. You get the gist, but I'm very happy to do a longer version of this view sometime. Oh, gosh. Anyway, so you can imagine my great disappointment, having thought that this was a really, truly revolutionary kind of way to work. Revolutionary, even. What I did next, I played it at the piano. I just sat playing it, and I needed to insert some kind of extra structure to this. So what I decided to do is every time there was a conjunction in the poem, I played the note B. That allowed me to sort of settle a tonal system. The reason I settled on B is because the last phrase, draw close to me, la da da do do do, something like that is. I have a little cold today, so I can't sing well for you, but that felt to me very much as though we were reaching the cadence at the end of the phrase, settling on B. So off we go with B. I began to play that awful violin melody line. This here is a musical representation of that cadence, draw close to me. I decided to every time that a note, the letter was missing, like a vowel, I would add an extra beat to the previous note. So we began to get a bit of shape and a bit of rhythmic diversification in there as well. And here we are talking about the Y situation. So K, the letter K, Corax, for example, it should have been a D natural, but I decided that we were in B, and in the key of B, D sharp is the major third, a D natural is the minor third. And very often in my music, I work with major and minor thirds together, bunched up. I like this very much. In this piece, it was particularly relevant because I was often talking about juxtaposition of sound. And for me, within the semitone, even microtonal actually is a very good example, but in the semitone, in the D and D sharp, they're so close together, yet within that space, you create so much sound. And if you move them very far apart, big low D natural and very high D sharp, it's this enormous space that you create. So I wanted to juxtapose the major and the minor kind of modal sound of things. So I simply altered the relevant, where I felt the relevant Ds were to D sharps, to allow more colour into the piece. So here, this is what the piece actually looked like. You're very welcome to pause this video if you want to. If you're a pianist, perhaps try it out on the piano and you can hear how it sounds now. Much nicer. The letters in red above are the tonal centres that I moved through eventually, and what they became was the finale, and they also the structure for the finale, and they also became the structure for what I played as the solo, as the kind of the overture, if you like, to the whole thing. Now the full video of this is available on YouTube, so if you just search for the Cartographer live at Roadburn, there's the whole thing, 45-minute piece. There's apparently it's my symphony, somebody referred to it. What I've done next, I've just cut from the video for you the violin theme live, and then I've moved it straight to the finale. So it's about 5 minutes of music, of video. We can watch it together and just see what you think. I hope very much that you enjoy it. This is the theme, the new theme. I wanted to explore the juxtaposition of sound, a solo violin accompanied by very, very heavy brass. You'll hear them in the full in a minute. Magnificent players. I was so lucky with all these players. So lucky to know them. Draw close to me phrase coming now. Here. We're going to go to the finale. you get the gist of that. So that was the chord sequence at the end, the letters that were in red above it. And the entire 45-minute work was built from that very first theme that was generated. So anyway, this is a kind of brief-ish look through. Perhaps we can talk about some of the other movements later on, and the way that the theme has been used throughout the whole composition. Again, I thank you so much for your support. You basically keep the world turning for me, so thank you very much indeed. I will see you soon. All blessings to you. Bye bye.